Right. So once after you're done with this line, you can copy the table, which explains how many iterations are there. Write down this table as well, people. Let me know when you're done, people. All right. Are we done? Yes, people, are we done? All right. Anyone who is still writing? Okay, moving forward. So we are going to copy the second method. Yeah, before copy the second method, we have to go with one particular example. Hold on. Mhm. Yeah. It's better we go with the example as well, people, as well as this part. Yes, Chanuri. Yeah, Chanuri, there is no two loops there. It's just one loop over here, which is the 4, right? And 4 has one particular line, which is write ln count. 4 is the only iterative structure that is used. Got it, Chanri? Right. Are we done, people? Yes. Anyone who is still writing? Okay. So, right. I'm moving forward. So now we go to the second method of 4. So you can have the heading. Yeah. So these 2 points plus the table and yeah, we don't need to write the example, people, because it's a small difference that has happened in the down 2 loop. So like since the table structure explains it, we'll keep it like that. So once you're done with the table, we'll go for the question. Let me know when you are done, right? Okay, so let's go with the example. No, we don't need to. Like we decided earlier, neither. We don't need to go with the example. So yeah, now since we are done with this, let's go with a particular question. Hold on, let me take a question for you. Careful, Suzu.
Daddy, what do you think?
Yeah, careful.
Is it fun, Dad?
Okay, people, now this is going to be the question. And hold on, before that question, I have to talk about this nested constructors. Then only we can go for that. So we have talked about the while and the repeat until earlier. Right, so let's talk about the nested control structure. It is nothing but a very simple concept that you are going to understand. Right, so nesting means put it. Suhara, that is doing a class. Don't disturb. Go to the living room, Monica. Right, so nesting means putting a one particular control structure inside another. Right, so if this is a particular one control structure, we are going to put another control structure inside it. So this particular control structure is being nested inside this. So what are the things that we can nest? Obviously, it is what we call the control structure. Yeah, that's it. It can be loop inside a loop. That means iteration can be there inside another iteration, as well as a selection can be there inside another iteration. Right? It doesn't matter which kind of a control structure that we are going to use. Like there are two types of control structures. No? Like the first one is the selection. Other one is the iteration. Right? So those are the two major categories of the control structures. So for selection control structure, there are if statements. And for iteration control structure, there are while, repeat until, and for. Right? So it doesn't matter which control structure or which category that we are going to refer. If any particular control structure stays inside another, that means it's been nested. So majorly, there can be a selection inside another selection, iteration inside another iteration, as well as iteration inside a selection, and also a selection inside an iteration. Right? So look at the examples that they are talking about. Now here, they have illustrated some examples for you in your book. Now go through this and see what is being nested. So this is the body of the program. No, so the main program goes here. So here, what is being nested in which, like what control structure inside the other control structure? Yes. Yes, what can you find? What can you find? Yes, people, what kind of control structures that we have?
Look what it does.
Okay. Yes.
Whoa, whoa, Daddy,
Right.
watch.
Hold on, Susu. Hold on. Okay. Right. So how many control structures are here? We can find a if condition. That means if control structure is there. So it starts from here, and inside if the starting and the begin, like this is the if control structure, and this marks its beginning, and this marks its end, right? And here we can find a for structure inside it. So what's the concept over here? If is a selection, for is an iteration. So here what we can find is iteration inside a selection. Did you get that, people? Okay. And we have the similar situation over here as well. They have a separate if structure over here. It starts from this point, ends from this point. So in between we found an iteration structure again. So again, iteration inside a selection. Right? So this program illustrates an iteration inside a selection. And when it comes to this program, yeah, like, yeah, unfortunately, Anu, you can figure it out from here. What is been inside of what? Suhara, that will damage Tati's bag. What can you find here? An iteration inside a selection or a selection inside an iteration? Yes, very good, Udamya. It's a selection inside the iteration because here is the iteration structure. So it starts from here. It ends over here. It has a very long end. Right? So inside that, they have an if condition which starts from here and ends from this particular end. So first we find the iteration, then inside it we find the selection. So it is selection inside an iteration or a repetition. People, is that clear? Okay, great. Now it's quite easy when the coding is given for us to find what is inside what thing. So it's just examining the code. Now, if I provide you with this kind of a flow chart. Now here in this flow chart, you got two conditions. One over here and the other over here. Now, by examining this particular flow chart, Can you tell me whether this flowchart includes an iteration or not? Is the flowchart contains an iteration? Yes. How we can figure out that it contains iteration? We can simply consider how the flow happens, right? So the flow goes like this. So we can see the iterative nature. So we can say, okay, it has an iteration. Now the problem is, which is causing the iteration? Is it this condition or this condition?
Which is called. And the other which can do mysterious things.
Okay. So is it the x larger than 0 condition which caused the iteration, or is it is remainder equals to 0 condition? Okay, Sasrika said it's remainder equals to 0. And Pehara says it's x larger than 0. What is the correct answer? And how we can figure that out? That's the point. How we can figure that out? Now, if you want to figure out the iterative condition, the method is the condition which helps to exit the iteration. Remember that carefully. The condition which helps you to exit the iteration is the iterative condition. The condition which helps to exit the iteration is the iterative condition. So on that basis, which condition helps you to exit the iteration? Yes, people? Yes. Yes, lots of you have given the correct answer, right? Does it look closely? Which one? Now, if you think about the is remainder equals 0, it comes and goes on this flow and then onto this and still on the iteration, right? So still on the iteration. If it goes on the other way, it is still on the iteration. But if you think about this, at one side it helps to iterate, and on the other side it is exiting from the iteration. Is that clear for you? All right, so clearly this is going to be an iterative condition. And which type of a condition is this? Is it an iteration or a selection? Yes, that's it. Very good. Yes, Ranudi. This is a selection. Now, how we can say it for sure? The nature of the selection is it will deviate a single flow into two paths, and at another point, those paths are going to cross again. They comes together, deviate regarding a particular condition and coming together again in a one particular place. So that nature helps you to identify a selection. According to the condition, it will choose two paths, but at some point it comes together. Iteration does not cross like that. It's on one hand, it is iterating, and on the other hand, it leaves the iteration. So this condition has the nature of the selection, deviates into two paths and coming back together on this particular position. So this is a selection. So according to the flow chart, what kind of a nesting exists here? Is it a selection inside an iteration or an iteration inside a selection? Yes, Pehara, very good. Very good, Dinelka. Yes, Ranudi, yes. So it is a selection inside an iteration because iteration plays the bigger role. So like in between that road, it finds the selection, right? So it is a selection inside an iteration or a repetition, right? And now you can examine this. Tell me what kind of a situation that you can find here. Is it a, first tell me what kind of conditions are these? What is like are they selection conditions, or one is selection and the other one is iteration? Try to clarify, try to clarify. Look at for that nature. That's it, I'm asking, like the nature of these two conditions. Like what kind of things are those? A selection, two selections or two iterations, or one is selection, one is iteration? What are they going to be? Yes, people, what do you think about these two? How about the x larger than 0? Thus it says it's two selections, okay? What do you think about the x larger than 0? So it has a flow according to the condition. This is one of its path, and this one is the other path, and they deviate into two paths, and they are coming together at this point, right? This particular point. Deviation comes together at this particular point, right? So this is a selection. And what about this, people? C equals X. How about that? Yes, Udamya. That's correct. That's correct. Yes, Dinelka. Yes, that's it. Yes, that's correct, people. Osanda, yes, that's correct. Yes, Chanuri. This is an iteration. How we can find that? It has this iterative nature, right? then from this side, it leaves the iteration. All right. Yes. Now, then what's the nature? What's the nesting nature inside this? Is it a selection inside an iteration or an iteration inside a selection? Yes, Dinelka. That's right. That's it. Sasrika, Ranudi, yes. Yes, everyone is correct. It's a repetition or an iteration inside a selection. All right, so let's try to write a one particular program, a Pascal program for this particular flow chart, right? So I'll give you the question, I'll type you the question so you can write it down. Then you can draw the flow chart and then you can write the Pascal code. So here comes the question. Write a Pascal code for the following flowchart. Right, so you can write this and you can draw this particular flowchart. Then you can try writing a Pascal code for this. You can take any name for as your program name. It doesn't matter, right? So try it out. I'll help you when you are trying to do that. But first, I need you to try it alone. Right? Take 10 minutes, right? You draw it and then try to write it down. So it's 327. By 337, I'm going to ask you about your progress, right? Give it a try, people. Give it a try. Okay, how about the situation? Do you need more time? Or shall we code it and see how the things are going to happen? Anyone who needs more time? Okay, Udami, I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes. All right, so let's see how this is going to happen. Right, so I'm taking Charm Pascal. So then we can type this on. So let's arrange it like this. You can see the flow chart. Okay, so first of all, I have to so first of all, I'm going to give the program keyword, and I'm going to give a name saying pro1. So I'm getting my two parameters, which is input comma output and a semicolon. So then we are going to introduce the variables. So how many variables that we have in this program? We have X over here. We have C and T over here. So like it's altogether 3, right? So it is VAR. I'm going to say X, comma C, comma T. These are going to be integers. Integer. Then I'm going to take the begin and end block, where I'm going to write my main program. So once I have done this, it means I am done with my starting part. So as a starting, I have to give a name for the program. I have to declare the variables. Then I have to have the main structure. So now I'm going to choose, or like to move to this particular one, enter X. So enter X means this flowchart is expecting some value from the user, and we have to assign it to the variable X. So how we are going to deal with it? We can use a write ln, and we can simply say enter value, right? Or you can give any meaningful message. And then once the user sees this on the screen, he will tend to give a value. So that particular value should be read into the variable X. So we use the read function to take that particular value assigned to the variable X. Okay, is that clear, everyone? How to handle with the enter X part? Yes, everyone, is it clear? Okay. All right, so once after we have a value for X, then we are facing to the condition. Now we know this is a selection condition. So if it is a selection condition, we are going to use a if. And the condition is going to be X larger than 0. Then keyword is there. Now, thereafter, we have to do something very important. Do you remember that I was mentioning you about a code block inside a control structure when there's going to be more than one statement inside a control structure, right? Because now when it comes to this condition, this if condition contains this particular instructions, again this particular iterative structure, all are inside this if condition. So that means inside the if condition we are going to write more than one statement. if we are going to write more than one statement, we need a separate begin and end block to that particular control structure. People, is that clear? Why we are having a begin and end, and when to have a begin and end for a control structure? Yes, everyone, is that clear? Yeah, Denuka, now generally, when it I'll go with the textbook over here. Generally, a particular condition is having a particular statement, right? So like it goes over here, I'll go with the while loop. So here they have taken the, like they have declared the condition. So under the while loop, there is only one statement. So when there is only one statement, we don't need a separate begin and end block to indicate what belongs to this particular condition, because there is only one statement which belongs to this, right? But here comes the block. So here again a condition, the for condition, and these three statements belongs to this for. That means these three should be indicated as one big block which belongs to this particular condition. So for that purpose, they have used a separate begin and an end to indicate this is the place where the for is beginning and this is the place where it ends. So the same story that I am telling to this particular if structure. It's going to have more than one statement definitely, because C equal 1, T equals 0, there are two separate statements, and iterative condition is also going to be there. So like condition, two statements will give 5 statements inside the if condition. So that means it's something like this, have more than one statement inside that control structure. So we need a begin and an end to indicate from where the if is starting and from which point that the if is ending. Is that clear? Right, okay. So now when it comes to the begin and end, so we are going to write C equals 1. So we declare the condition over here. So we declare the particular scope or the limits of the if condition. So here we are going to type it. Right. So now we have to say C colon equals 1 semicolon and T colon equals 0 semicolon. So that is how we have given the initial values to the variables that we are going to use. So it's over here. So we are done with this. Then according to the flow, we are coming to the condition. Now this condition is an iterative condition, and it iterates on the no path. Right? So we have learned 3 iterative conditions: for, while do, and repeat until. So we can use repeat until straight away to this particular thing, because repeat until describes an iteration happens on the no path. If we are going to use the while condition, we have to change this condition into its exact opposite. The reason for that is in the while loop, its iteration shows on the years path, or like the iteration which happens on the years path can be taken into the while loop. So since this is goes on the no path, I'm taking a repeat until block. So inside the repeat until block, I'm going to tell what's gonna happen. So first C will be increased by 1, then that particular C will be added to the total, right? So I can say C colon equals C plus 1 and in the next line I can say T colon equals T plus C semicolon. Right, so the repeat until structure is done. Do we need a begin and an end block for the repeat until? We don't need, because repeat and until words together shows when to begin and when to end. So like at the end of the until word, we have to say what should be the condition. So I have to say C equals X, right? So when C is not equals to X, these two statements are going to happen, because the repeat until works, or like repeat until do the iteration when this condition is incorrect or false, right? So when this is correct, it is going to stop. All right, so we are done with the mapping, right? So the repeat until ends from here, if condition ends from here, right? So now we can run our particular program and see whether it is providing us a meaningful output. Okay, before that, are you clear with what we have done? Yes, everyone? Okay, so let's run this and see how the output is going to be. Yeah, one good thing, I have to put two read lns, otherwise my screen won't hold. And you should not write that as the part of the answer, people. It is just for the requirement of the charm Pascal, right? So here I'm running this again. So it's asked for a value. I'm going to give 5. So X will be 5. So C will start from 1 and it will increase until 5. Until that, it will do the repetition, right? So if I press enter, nothing is going to be there, and press enter, it is going to be over. Why I didn't see any output? Yes, everyone? Why I didn't got to see any output? Any suggestions? Yes. Now think about that. How can I see something without saying the algorithm to show something? This is my only right ln. So I saw it on the screen and I give some value with read to the x. That's all. So this is happens, but I'm saying nothing to output. Right? That's what my flowchart says. So according to the flowchart, my mapping is correct. If I need to show something, I need to adjust the flowchart like this. Right? And if I say display T, right? If my Sasrika. So if I had something like this, then of course I need a right ln to be given over here, right? Like after the if condition, right? So it's the end of the if condition over here. So now I can say value of t is, then I can put a comma and say to show the value of t. So if I run this, if I give 5, it will be the value of x. Once I press enter, it says the value of t is 14. Right? So it will happen the way that we are talking about. So then it will output 14. Right? So first the 0 will be added with 2 because c is starting from 1 and it is increased over here. So first it's at 2. Then c is increasing by 1 again. That means 3. So 2 plus 3 will happen. That means 5. Still c is not equals to x. So c will become 4. 5 plus 4 is 9. Then c will become 5. 5 plus 9 is 14. So now c is equals to x. So it ends and shows this particular thing. Okay. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear? Okay, great. So I'm going to put the code in to the groups so you can copy the things down, or like you can make any corrections if you got there in your code, right? Then you can go for it. You don't need to do the changes in your flow chart.
Daddy, look.
We can write the code in for the drawn flow chart, which is without the display T part. I'll put the code in that manner so you can read it out and see. Right, so I'm going to end the session from here, people. By next week, we are going to talk about the the subprograms. Yeah, as I remember, no, not the subprograms. It's the arrays that we are going to learn. It's the last concept of the programming. Then after we are going to learn about the subprograms, and then the programming will be done. Right, so thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to end the session from here for today. I'll see you on next week for the very same time. Right, thank you very much, everyone. Have a very nice weekend.